right, everyone. Welcome to Tale of the Dragons. And we have an amazing guest today. But before we get to that, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It helps with whatever weird algorithms are out there. But today we are joined by Grand Master Ron Carlson. Sir, it's an honor to have you on the show.
Well, it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
72 years doing martial arts. My goodness. Yes. You ever would have imagined 72 years ago you'd be a Grand Master?
Not in a million years.
That's amazing,
still
sir.
Here today.
Can you walk us through when you started martial arts?
Okay. Yes. 17 years old, I joined the United States Marine Corps right at the tail end of the Korean War. I was stationed, I got after boot camp in Camp Pendleton, and they told us we were going to go to Korea as a replacement so they could start rotating some of the troops back. And when I was home on leave, I got a phone call from the Marine Corps saying, go to the recruiting station and pick up new orders. So I went downtown Denver and picked up my new orders and said, report to the U.S. Naval Station. I thought, they're not going to send us over there on a ship, are they? So, I reported in, of course, the Marines have the gate, and they have a guard company there. The first platoon has the gates, the second platoon has the brig, the third platoon was over at Point Loma, was a sub base, and then the fourth platoon was the U.S. Naval Air Station in Coronado, or North Island. And that's where I was sent, and that's where I spent 3 years as a military policeman. And then when the troops were rotating back, sometime they would come through our barracks, and they might be there for a day or two, a week or two, month or two, until they got discharged or got a new duty station. And a lot of them were bringing some of the martial arts stuff back. And I can remember one kid had Okinawan Kempo, and there was another guy that had some Korean Tang Soo Do, and some other various martial arts from China. Even stuff from the Philippines and, wherever, all of that period. So, and as military police, we had to keep up on some of this self-defense stuff and this type of thing. So they had a compound. It was like a square in the base and then the office. And in the center was a kind of a recreation area where they have whoever's in the brig, the prisoners come out and air their mattresses out. We'd have them bring their mattresses out, and then we go out and use them for mats and start throwing, picking this stuff. And that's where I got my interest in martial arts. And when I was discharged in 1957, came back to Denver, there were only 2 martial arts schools in Denver. And so Denver School pardon?
Did you open a school immediately?
No. I had no idea thing. And so shopped around and I had a friend of mine whose last name was same as mine, Carlson. We weren't related, but we were good friends. We went to high school together and everything. And we knew, he said, I remember Dickie Yamamoto, or I think his name was, a kid we went to high school with. His father was a head instructor at the Denver School of Judo. He got us in there. Back then, if you weren't Japanese, it was very difficult to get in. But he got us in there, but we were basically Ukis. We got slammed. And we really didn't learn a lot of, judo techniques or anything, because we were like new meat, So come on, get here. And that's where I learned, I had to learn, break falling and stuff. That's where I first learned. And then there's a North High School where I went to school. I noticed I was driving down past there one day, and I said, this also said karate or something. It said Amid, A-M-I-D. So I went in, I checked, and they were teaching Japanese Shotokan. So, and back then it was like $10 a month, I think. So I signed up and tried to, this is pretty cool. So about 6 months I did that. And the teacher come one day and said, I'm going to California for 3 weeks. And he says, and I'll be back. I said, okay. So 3 weeks later, he came back and he says, we're going to do Chinese Kempo. And started teaching kata, which they called it then Hun Chao, which came from William K. Chow from the Kempo side. And later I learned, I ran into a guy, and he was from the Shaolin Kempo, and they said they call that same form, it's the same form, but they call it Mountain Meets River. And the story went that when he made that, developed that form or put that form together, he lived at the base of a mountain near a river. So that's the thing. And I still do that form today. In
Do
fact, we
you?
were doing some training with it yesterday, and I think I learned that in 1962. So that's 64 years ago. So
And you're still doing it.
yeah,
That's
and I've done
amazing.
some other things, in between. Uh, some progressive Arnis under Guru Chad Bailey, uh, some Hapkido, which I'm still kind of exchanging stuff with an Aikido master even today. So a couple, 2 or 3 times a week, and just a lot of different stuff. So the came to a development of my system I call Gaoren Lu Kempo and Kung Fu, which literally translates the path to becoming a better human being through self-study and skill.
That's fantastic, sir. So 72 years, how has the evolution of your training changed as far as how you used to teach, how you teach now?
Oh, well, quite a bit difference. I tell students today that if I taught you how I was taught, you probably wouldn't be here because it was a lot different. When you spend hours just doing one thing up and down the floor, a downward block or rising, or a kick or whatever. Just sometimes the whole hour, hour and a half, 2 hour session just on that one thing, up and down, up and down, up and down. And people just don't have today. They don't have the patience. They want that quick fix. A lot of people. How soon can I get a black belt?
There's some good videos out there of those Mick dojos, right?
Yes, yes, exactly. So,
Well, walk me through your journey. I mean, you come out, you've done some training. When did you just decide to open up your own school?
well, I spent as a military policeman when I got out I applied to the Denver Police Department, but I was a quarter of an inch too short. It was like you had to be 5'10" or more, and I was like 5'9 3/4. So I wound up on the Denver Fire Department for 25 years. And some of my students, when I don't want to go into that, there's a whole other story of my background of the teacher that I studied under. So, and I'd rather not go into that right now, but
Absolutely.
it wasn't a very good experience. I'll just say that. But so I really didn't have anything, but a lot of those students used to come out to the firehouse, and we'd go down the basement, and I'd take my bunking boots down, and if we got a call, I'd just jump in them and go and tell those guys if we're not back very soon, you need to leave, just lock the back door on your way out to the parking lot. So, but and then let's see. I met a guy who was what you call a headhunter, I guess. He got jobs for people and stuff like that. And he was looking for an office space. And he got home one day. He says, I got this space. It's got a neat little space in the back. It was an old doctor's office. And needs some remodeling or whatever, but it's really got a good deal on the rent. So that's kind of where I started. And we went in and tore out all of these little pipes and stuff and and made a little small dojo there and trained out of that. Was really my first school. And I was in actually the mid 70s somewhere. And then that location, and we moved to another. And I had met when we had that school set up over there, there was also some space in front. And back then there was any place on the west side of town to get any martial arts gear, uniforms or equipment or anything like this. So there was called the Dragon Ladies or thing. Well, there was a Japanese gentleman and his wife. They had a Shotokan school on the east side in South Broadway, and then a martial arts school. They had the school, and then down from there, they had a shop where they sold equipment. Well, they got divorced. He kept the dojo, and she kept the supply shop. I got a hold of her, and I said, "Is there any chance that you could there's nothing on the west side. It'd be a good up. She says, you have to talk to my manager. And I says, okay. She says, his name is Bart Mann. So I called Mr. Mann and he said, let's meet for lunch. So we met for lunch and come to find out he is a Wing Chun Sifu. Okay. So, and we hit it off. We put a little deal together. And so he didn't have, so we started sharing that space. So we'd have 2 nights a week. It would be the Wing Chun Kung Fu. 2 nights a week we'd do my Kempo. So, and we became good. We were friends for 25 years. And unfortunately, he got killed in a motorcycle accident in 2006. And then he found another location when we lost that one. He had several other little places we shared space with. We had an old Catholic grade school that had an upstairs was a 400 square foot room that we shared.
Wow.
Same thing. And then downstairs was called Boardman's boxing gym. And and they have people come in like Sonny Liston and some of those people like that. Just once in a while, they would come up and peek in and look and see what we were doing.
That had to be unique for them too, right? I mean, martial arts wasn't widespread.
Yeah.
How did you back then with gis and whatnot? I imagine that wasn't easy to get.
That was the head guy at the Denver School of Judo that is got when we started there. He also had a filling station in Denver, downtown Denver, and he actually sold uniforms and gis and stuff out of his filling station. And that was the only place you could find a gi. And the other stuff I was talking about actually came later. It kind of slipped my mind there, but that's where we first could get a judo gi or even a karate gi, back then was at the filling station.
That's crazy. I'd never thought about that, but having this conversation with you and you're talking about how, excuse me, stuff wasn't easy to come by, thought about the uniforms.
Yeah.
So you spent a lifetime in Kempo. Has your understanding of the art changed a lot from when you first received your first black belt?
No, not really. What I liked about it from when we switched from the Shotokan, mostly hard style, like that and Taekwondo and everything, and started doing the more circular. Wow, this is really cool, so I kind of just fell in love with it. And I've been doing it ever since. And the thing I liked about it is Kempo incorporates all of the arts, really karate, judo, jiu-jitsu, kung fu, and it's a blend. And once you understand basic concepts and how the body works, and there's only so many ways you can move it, it just becomes, it's very easy to blend, from one to another. You can do a strike or you can do a lock or you can do a throw, off of the same entrance a lot of times. And that's what I really, really liked about it.
It's a lot of fun. I love it.
Yeah.
I started off in Taekwondo and had the opportunity to join Professor doing Kempo. And for me, it's like drinking from a fire hydrant because he has so much knowledge and he likes to throw it out there.
Yeah. Well, that's what we say every time we go have an event like we had, last year. And their thing is it's like getting a fire hose. You probably won't remember everything, but we tell if you can go away with one thing from each teacher, each instructor. So
yes, absolutely.
Then we've hopefully done our job.
Is there anybody that in your martial arts career was like a mentor to you that you looked up to?
Well, I've met a lot of beautiful people, but let's see. Well, I have to tell this story because back in the mid '60s, okay, I'm going to rest a little bit here. I went to the school one afternoon or thing because I think back then I might have been working nights or something, so mornings and just as I got there, teacher and Bruce Lee was visiting, and he said, "We're going to lunch. You would like to come to lunch with us?" I said, "Yes, sir." And I think I might have been maybe a brown belt at the time, and no, I might have been. Trying to think. It was pretty close in there where I went from my brown to got my first black belt. But we went to lunch, and he was telling us that they were after him to do the Green Hornet series. And he says, I'm not going to do it because they won't let me choreograph my own stunts. So, but evidently later he must have talked him into it because he wound up doing that Green Hornet series. And then along with that story that we used, and I still tell people today, that I studied under Bruce Lee. Now, the story goes that one of the dojos that we had, schools that we had, was an office building, and you had to go around the back and down this ramp into this building. It used to be an underground parking garage at one time, and then it was turned into a Taekwondo school. It was there for 7 years, and then they moved out, and Sifu Bart Mann, my friend, he found this space, and we went, so we started there. Well, upstairs was the landlord's office. He was a realtor. He owned that building, and then there was a couple other little shops. And on the end, there was a chiropractor, and his name was Bruce Lee. So we studied under Bruce Lee.
Oh, my.
And he wasn't even Chinese.
You had me going there.
Yeah, but people ask me about that, Well, I did actually get to meet Bruce Lee, but I really never studied under the real Bruce Lee.
That's awesome.
And then, a few times back in the 60s when they were forming the pro circuit, Chuck Norris and Bill Wallace, I think, visited a couple of times, and I believe I sparred a little bit with them in the dojo. I never fought them in the ring, but they were getting ready to, so they'd kind of train a little bit before their things, so they would come to the dojo and train. So
that's amazing.
And it would be interesting because I haven't. One of the premieres they did together, Chuck and played the bad guy, Sparky, and I think it was Good Guys Wear Black, or I don't remember for sure what movie now it was. But anyway, I haven't run across Bill since then, so I'm looking forward to see him at the gathering next month. So I don't know if he'll remember me or not.
Sir, I don't think that you're going to be easy to forget. Yeah. So in the 70s, I recall like Bill Wallace, Chuck Norris, Joe Louis. It seemed like the kickboxing movement was really ramping up. Actual professional fighters. Did you ever do anything like that?
No. 1968, I went on the Denver Fire Department. So prior to that, I did a few tournament stuff, or whatever. But I could not. I was on probation for the first year when I went on, and I couldn't afford to get injured or do anything. So at that point, if I competed, it was in kata or forms or something like that, but not fighting.
Yeah. Was there during that time when the Chuck Norris movies are coming out, the Bruce Lee movie, Enter the Dragon, and his movies, did you see an uptick in students signing up wanting to learn martial arts?
Oh, yeah. And a lot of it had to do with a lot of people back then. The Falawa was the Bruce Lee with the nunchucks, and you'd see kids walking down the streets, hitting, trying to. That's so.
Yeah, I imagine there had to be certain times where certain movies come out that bring people into the martial arts.
Yeah,
Karate Kid,
and also back then the teacher had brought Sifu Aldakauskas out to Colorado, and he had several schools in Denver for a while, and he actually had taken over a good friend of mine, Sifu Wayne Welch, who he always introduced me as his first Kempo teacher, because him and I studied under the same teacher, and he started about 6 months after I did, and we became good friends, and then he moved from Colorado to the Bay Area and got into the internal arts of Xingyi, Tai Chi, and Bakwa, those three arts or whatever. So, and him and I, he used to do a lot of help putting gatherings together for Guru Willem de Torres from the Silat thing. We got to meet those three brothers. In fact, Bill is a year, Willem de Torres, call him Bill, everybody else calls him Uncle Bill. He is a year older than I am. He's in his 90s, and he's still teaching and kicking.
Amazing.
So anyway, another gentleman that back then, Mark Dacascos and the other Matt, Sifa Wayne Welch and his wife used to babysit them when Al and Malaya, when they were married, used to do tournaments and stuff. And, she was a kata forms champion many times back then. And they just got to be thinking, well, one of the movies that really stuck in mind is the one he did was Only the Strong with the Brazilian Capoeira, stuff like that. So, and he was really come a long way and been very successful in all those action movies and stuff, things that he's done, and Dancing on the Stars and Iron Chef, and he's done a lot of stuff. So,
any movie work in your background?
No.
No.
I when I was on the fire department, Elitch Gardens in Denver amusement park, they had the old theater, and they'd have people, some top actors in plays and stuff. They were required, because it was an old wooden building, required to have a fireman on duty. So I got to do that pretty often stuff. So, it was a very good thing to get to meet some people and things like that. And there was and then afterwards they would have a kind of a cast party or something. They usually come by and invite me or whatever. So, and there was a lady, they called her the Dragon Lady too, I think, back in her thing, but she was a talent. Or a talent agency. And she said, did you ever do any acting or anything? I said, no. I said, would you be interested? She says, you have the face, or I do. I had no idea. So I went, and but their game was to get you to take some lessons. So I got to take some lessons and everything. And I did one commercial for them. It was all I ever did. And all that was I was sitting on a park bench, and it was a balcony behind me, and a bus stop, and I'm sitting on the bench and reading the Wall Street Journal. I got a 3-piece gray suit with a vest on, business looking to Wall Street Journey. And the other actor there hollering up at the people on the balcony, it was a great party last night, or whatever. My line was, the bus is coming. That was it. And I think I got $25 or $30 for that.
And Hollywood never called me back.
No,
that's our win. Thank you for that. How'd you meet Professor Barongan?
Well, I asked him the other day, because I couldn't remember exactly. I was thinking it was around 2000, 2001. He says, no, sir. He says it was 1991. Ifu Bartman, my partner in the schools then, him and I were invited to go to Des Moines to do a seminar, because I had a student named Richard Nakayaba. Okay. And he had moved from Denver to there, and he knew Bobby. And so we went to do this seminar, and Bobby was there, and that's where I first met him. And then Grand Master Ray Boyer, who studied under me, and think when he moved from Denver to Chicago and hooked up with John Sharkey and the AKA, American Karate Association, everything. And then his wife was Kim was a executive for an insurance company, and they had to move to Chicago area, and they lived in Naperville. But then she got transferred or moved to Des Moines, and he moved to Des Moines. And I told Ray, I said, well, I got you halfway back to Denver. The other half. And then I told him he looked up Richard, and then that's through Richard. He had met Bobby Barogan, and they hit it off, and here it is today. They're still very, very close and stuff. And they go over and train at sometimes Marty's garage or driveway. And then in the wintertime, they go over to Bobby's and train in the dojo.
I had the opportunity to do a training session with Grand Master Boyer.
Yes.
It was amazing. He's very intense.
Yeah. He when he came to me, he had been he was a federal officer during the Maffei trials in Denver. So it was bombing, and so he had a background, and in some judo and stuff. I don't know if he told you his story, but
Not yet.
Okay, teacher didn't have any children, and Suzuki, I think Sensei Suzuki or whatever, he picked 3 boys at the church they were going to, and 3 or 4, I guess, and taught him his Taitsusudo. It was just a lot of pressure point thing, thumb stuff. Is awesome. We used to bruises all over our body, but he was looking for a place to work out when he walked in, and he'd been around to several. So the same thing had happened when he left and went to Chicago. He walked to several schools and just looking for a place to maybe work out a little bit or train until he walked into John's school, and he wasn't there. And the couple of his black belts were training, and so they invited him out on the floor, real friendly, and nobody walked or saw John Sharkey walk in until they noticed him. So they immediately stopped and recognized him, took over to do this. And John told Ray right away, he says, I want you to start teaching my black belts. Just after watching him for a few minutes with his working with his black belts. And they became good friends, and he did all the security work for all the Grand Nationals and all of that. So I don't want to tell his whole story, but I'll let him do it when you do that. So,
well, I'll know where to start with. Thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, he was looking for a place to train. So I figured in and we came, and then when everybody else, passed, and he was the only one left, I said, you have to pass this art or it dies. And he has been doing that. So,
yeah. Looking back on your martial arts career, what's been the hardest lesson martial arts has forced you to learn?
Yeah, and to keep training. There was a couple of times where, I don't do this anymore. And especially after like I say, that's other story of a bad experience I had, And Seafood Bar Man was the one that actually told me, he says, you're not going to quit. He says, I won't let you. He says, you have too much to offer. So, and he's the one that kept me going. So
that's fantastic. How did that shape you?
Oh,
what did that teach you for today?
Just, if I didn't do martial, I don't know what I would do. I've been doing it so long. It's a way of life, and it's fun. I enjoy it, and it's always, such a pleasure to share this and help people and stuff. Back in the 70s, they started the fire science program at community college, and I started when I started taking the fire science class, and I met the guy, like the athletic director or whatever, and got talking to him. So he had me started a 1 credit hour self-defense class. I started that and started teaching. And one of the ladies that I had taught had left after about a year. I was there for 2 years. I got a 2-year associate degree. And then also turned around and got another associate degree in what they call recreation leadership or physical education stuff. But I was walking down a hall one day later, and I hear something scream. And I look around, and this gal come running down and jumped in my arms, and she says, thank you, thank you, thank you. You saved my life. What I had taught her, I guess she was attacked, and what I had taught her in that self-defense class saved her life. And that really, wow.
That's a very wow moment.
Yeah, it's a wow moment.
I mean, you usually don't get feedback like that, right?
Right, yeah. And that's most people, that's what they want is self-defense. Or everybody has a different reason for wanting to train in martial arts. And so I actually, and we went over this yesterday a little bit with people I was training with, is that I referred to it as a restorative art rather than a martial art, because we help restore that which is lacking in your life. So, and so and it's to improve your quality, you train the martial arts to improve your quality of life. Not that, sure, you learn to punch, kick, and, get very violent if you have to. But, again, is learning that self-control, self-discipline, and being able to handle no matter what life throws at you, you have that discipline and that you can handle it without panicking or doing something stupid,
Yes, absolutely.
that you later regret, you say, oh, why did I do that?
Well, I do that all the time. There's still work to be done for me. After 72 years, you're still training, you're still working out. How has your training evolved over that time to where you have evolved it to your body as your body changes?
I has slowed down a little bit. I don't do a lot of the falling or break falling and stuff so much anymore. I can get down real easy, but it's just harder and harder to get up.
Yes, sir.
So, I say this morning, I had a chiropractic appointment or whatever, one of my back and my hip and my leg I didn't do really anything too hard yesterday, but I went through the form with those guys probably a dozen times, just the one or two forms, the 18 locking fist, which is a chin off form that I learned. It's in my system. I have 8 forms at one time, I probably knew 50 kata forms, and it's just too many to try to remember or work or whatever between the Japanese forms and Chinese forms and Kempo forms and all of these things I picked up over the years. So I developed the system. I cut it to 8 forms, but there are 5 levels to each of those 8 forms.
Wow. What's that look like?
Well, you have the strong fist, boom, boom. You do that same form with a knife or a club or a weapon. You can do that same form, boom, boom, and go into a lock, throws, and I have body folding and using the natural folds of the body and stuff like that. So a lot of control. And I was also fortunate to meet Grand Master Myung Ji from the American Bando Association and train at several of his monk camps in the Colorado mountains. And he introduced me to a system they call Minzen, which is moving meditations. It's done with the stones and these different motions. And the more you do, the warmer these stones get is an indicator of how much energy you're moving. And I try to do that every day, it helps keep the joints and you work on your breathing and, it's like and the other thing is I kind of took the concept of, if you ever looked at James Matosi's book, karate and his system, in the book, and there's the octagon thing. They use the 8 angles and thing, and they do a lot of punching, kicking, or whatever off any of those angles. I made a little thing and developed it mostly for kids, but it's good for adults too. I think it's a little different, but I took that 8 concept, which I call the octagon drill, and then each of those movements have a name, attitude, character, respect, self-discipline, effort, all of these things, and they would have to call these out and learn those as they learn. And the whole object is that drill is don't be there, don't get hit, don't get kicked, shoved, pushed, whatever. Just be someplace else. How to move and work those angles. And then off of those, the basic one, you can go into throws, locks, folding, all kinds of different things. So it's a kind of a building process.
You'll have to give me a scaled down quick version when we're at the Warriors Legacy Hall of Fame. I'm really looking forward to that. You're talking about you're moving the rocks, the training and whatnot. What should young people in their 20s and 30s that are doing martial arts now, what should they be doing to prepare themselves for longevity?
Well, learning to relax and proper breathing. As we get older, a newborn baby, their stomach moves up and down. And as we get older, we have more, start breathing more up in the chest and learn to breathe properly and think and to again exercise. And it doesn't necessarily have to mean doing weights, all of this stuff. It's very similar to Tai Chi, and you can do that with any form. That form I was talking about, Hun Chao, Mountainese River, can be done very slowly with an open hand. It's the same movements, but it's a lot slower and different. It's almost like doing Tai Chi. So you can do that even with the hard Shotokan or Taekwondo form or Okinawan forms that are
Interesting.
Yeah, and then also meditation and learning to. I tell them, teach them how to relax and visualize when I'm doing something, whether it's a form or whatever, and visualize like you have a video camera and you're videotaping this, and now sit down, close your eyes, relax, and play this back in your mind, okay? Or maybe do it a couple times a day, or especially just before you go to sleep or something. You're laying in bed, okay? And actually do this. The more you do it mentally, the easier it's going to become to do it physically.
That's very, very good advice, or you don't hear that a lot.
No, you don't. And, through the, and I have literally seen art stylists, masters that have been doing, say, Taekwondo or Shotokan for 20 or 30 years and nothing else, physically and mentally burn themselves out because they're in that, and you have to have balance.
What does balance look like for you?
It's getting a little shaky nowadays. Sometimes when I'm, especially in the dojo, we have the kind of those rubber puzzle mat, and then they have one that's thick and it's a little softer. And a lot of times when that's soft, especially, I have to wear these damn compression socks a lot. So I had them, and it's a little harder to move a lot of times, and I'll start to shift to do a kick and but
As what keeps you balanced as a martial artist?
Practice. Yeah. I mean, if I don't do something, every day, I have no classes today or whatever, but we had to go to the chiropractor and back, and I was doing some stuff here, and the wife goes, "It's our anniversary today." Oh, that's it came. I told her, our anniversary's coming up, the 18th. And she asked me this morning when we were driving to the doctor. She says, "What day is it?" I says, "I think it's the 16th. Well, I'll check. Well, I forgot to check. And I was in there, and she says, "It's the 18th. Happy anniversary." So I had a gift card for Texas Roadhouse. So we went to dinner and had a nice dinner and a margarita.
There you go.
Come back and oh crap! Did I miss the meeting?
I'm extremely thrilled that you've carved out this time for me. It's amazing. After you spent decades teaching, influencing people in the martial arts, what do you want your martial arts legacy to be?
Well, I have a really good bunch of students that have trained over the years, and they will. I'm sure will hopefully they'll pass this down or whatever and keep it going. My ideas, my concepts of, in fact, Master Ray Boyer is my senior, and he will inherit my system when I'm gone. And I told him the other day, is all of my martial arts stuff that I've collected, you can see a little bit in the background, some of the pictures and certificates, and I wallpaper all over the place, and swords and knives and all kind of things that have collected and been given over the years and like that. But he said what he'll do is he'll inform a board, and next is would be Grand Master Andy Carroll, who has a school in Colorado also. I am a senior Grand Master of the OKO Kaju Kempo thing, and I was actually promoted to my 9th in that system by Grandmaster Frank Ordonez a year before he passed away. He was the last one of the 5 original masters that put Kaja Kempo together back in Solomon, Hawaii, 1846. So that was quite an honor. And then they 2015 that was given to me, and in 17 they gave me the senior grandmaster because I'm the oldest one in that organization. And then I figured, well, that's enough, That's and they called me down there one night and walk in and all these people are there. And Jason Groff, who inherited the system when his teacher, Frank Ordonez, passed away. He was there, and they ordered me with a great grandmaster, honorary great grandmaster certificate. So, but and I got fortunate in some of my other studies. I got to study Iaido with a Japanese and sword master, Sensei Michael Sullivan, who was the worldwide non-Oriental calligrapher in the world. And he was a sword and just master in Japan. That's another beautiful story. He is also passed now, but I have a lot of his scrolls and work. And now I've got a couple of students at the dojo there that were trained in my Kaja Kempo system and had to drop out for a while. Want to start back, but they also are now said they're interested in learning to do some brush writing, the calligraphy, Japanese calligraphy. So I actually had to go dig my stuff out because I still have a garage full of stuff that I haven't gone through since we moved here to Nebraska 2 years ago, Colorado. So.
Wow.
So I'm going to probably
you're in Nebraska now?
Yes.
I thought you were still in Colorado. I'm sorry. That's why I said it was 4:00 your time.
No, I'm in Nebraska now. We moved from Colorado 2 years ago.
Okay.
But our neighborhood was going downhill, and the taxes and everything was getting crazy. So it was time for a change. And the wife has a niece and grandniece here in Bellevue and a sister in Ashland. And so she had relatives out here. And so she said, "What do you feel about going to Nebraska?" And I looked at her, "Let's go." Yeah. And we moved out here 2 years ago in April. But we weren't able to close on the house till the 3rd of June. So it'll be actually 2 years, the 3rd of next month. They kept delaying the closing on my house in Colorado. Ladies that was nitpicking every little thing, and it kept delaying it. The wife and I spent 6 weeks in a motel room with 2 dogs.
Wow.
So
that'll test your patience.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Oh.
After all these years, what still motivates you to go into the dojo? Keep you on that mat.
Keep moving. And when I started a system called Dainzo-Chin Jiu-Jitsu under Master Hanchi Cox, who was a retired urologist doctor at the dojo, but he was also judo and jiu-jitsu and stuff. And his teacher was 92, and he used to come and suit up every Saturday morning, get down on the mat with you, and tie you up in a knot. Hanchi Cox used to say, "Keep moving, keep moving, keep moving." So, and I started that system at 75, started as a white belt and went all through and got a black belt in 80, at age 80. And then I wanted to start just a couple of years before I left Colorado, picked up the Arnis under Chad Bailey. So to keep flexible and keep with the sticks and stuff. And I've all the other people that started are way past me, but I still dabble and I still try to. And when we went to Florida for the instructor camp with Jason May, who was one of my students, is also a full guru in that system. And he surprised me with the purple belt. And I says, "I didn't remember testing for this." He said, "Yeah, you did."
That's fantastic.
I wasn't, it's when I went to Hanchi Cox, he asked me one day, he says, when I first started, he says, "Are you interested in ranking?" And I said, "No, sir." I said, "I just would like to learn everything." And he just looked me in the eye and he said, "I surely wish you would." I said, "Yes, sir, you're the boss." So, because I had already had, was a test on my own system and stuff like that. But mean anything. If I want to learn something, I'll put on a white belt and start all over.
I love your mindset. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Because there's always something to learn.
Yes, sir.
I figure you could spend several lifetimes and you never learn at all.
Yes, sir.
Out there. I tell them, always something to learn, even if it's not what to do,
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Yes. All right.
Well, you just ask, which system is better or whatever. The best system is the one you're doing.
Amen.
So they're all good. They all got their, ups and downs or whatever. It's what you prefer, what works for you. Because our goal is we teach you something, but you have to make it your own. And actually, we're not really teachers. We're just guides. You're the teacher. You teach yourself. We just guide you, hopefully with some way to get there, to teach yourself. So
I love that. And the make it yours. That is something that I've learned from Barangan as well.
Yeah. The Galrin-Lou system that when Cecil Wayne Welch, when he moved and he turned his school over to his senior, Mr. Ray Tarkington, and he started calling the system Kojin-Lu. And I says, what is that? And he says, it means your own way. Okay. And then I had another senior student whose wife was Chinese, and she looked at that and she says, I would pronounce it Gao Ren-Lu. So to separate it so it wouldn't confuse people, I changed it to the Gao Ren-Lu, the path to becoming a better human being. And then through self-study and Kung Fu is skill.
All right. Thank you, sir. Here's my rapid fire section we do. All right. Okay. So I'll just shoot you out a couple of random questions and you give me what you got.
Okay.
Favorite martial arts movie?
Probably have to, I would say probably the one I mentioned earlier with Martin Costas was really interesting. Maybe not the plot or what so much, but the movements and the training for that and like that. Although, I always love, Jackie Chan movies and, a lot of, I see probably ever one of Chuck Norris's movies and, so.
Yes. All right. Favorite Kempo technique you still love?
Choke them to death with heel dust.
I need more on that one. All right. Most important habit for a martial artist?
Get on the mat.
One thing that you have to let go as you age in martial arts?
You have to kind of set your mindset that as you age, so you get up at my age, you really shouldn't be doing that anymore, But people still, I guess, just amazes me. Most people will guess my age is around 75, or mid 70s at the most. And I've had people, I don't believe you. I've shown my driver's license. But
one word to describe martial arts.
One word to describe martial arts. A way of life.
If you could leave one piece of wisdom for everybody watching right now, what would that piece of wisdom be?
Boy, I would say if they were going to, if they're not sure what they want to do or what thing is, to just go around and check the different schools, systems, or whatever. Sit down and watch the teacher. Thing if it looks like interesting or something, give it a try. And if it doesn't work, for you or hour, keep looking or whatever. And usually eventually you'll find somebody. Oh, click. This is it, and then you'll stay. There's a lot of people, they don't know for sure what they're looking for, I guess. So, and if they're already involved in a school and a system and trying to enjoy it and whatever, is my thing is to keep moving, keep doing, keep training, keep sharing, be humble, and we always say, we're coming to train, leave your ego at the door. So,
yes, sir.
and I've had, and you've probably run across this too. You've had people, at times will come in and, and they want to test you, see how, see if this works or this, it's about sharing and learning. So, you don't need to by going in and injuring somebody or whatever, just to prove that you're tougher than somebody else or whatever.
Absolutely.
Toughest people I know are very, very humble, and just, so anyway, just to iterate a little quickly, I didn't finish that Grand Master Ron Boyer will get the other two Grandmasters, and that's why I was given that last title of, I think, Griga, because I had promoted two Grandmasters in my system.
Wow.
And some seniors. So he said he would form a board and then distribute it. What I leave him to anybody who wants this, maybe, and spread it through, and hopefully more mementos that'll keep this going. So we always have Rocky Mountain Thunder, which is our annual gathering, is the first weekend in June in Colorado. This will be our 18th year, I think. Yeah, 18th year this year. Or 17 or 18. Anyway, number of years or whatever. But again, we invite, what I do is we have a board, okay, and we pick about 8 to 10 teachers come in with different disciplines and stuff. And it's a whole weekend. Friday evening, we train for a couple hours and then have a meet and greet and share food. And a lot of times it's a potluck right there at the dojo and stuff, and then train all day Saturday and Sunday, and have people coming in. 2 people from New York and another one from East Coast somewhere, and from Arizona or New Mexico. And so I've had them come in from Vegas and all over, also from Florida. Chad Bailey's coming. He comes every so often, almost every year. Not every year, but pretty close and stuff. Because of our niece. So, first time, and I meant this. I remember, if you remember, the Carlos Devalier or whatever. He's out of New York. He's coming to teach at my gathering this year. So,
wow,
he's another former Marine brother. So, well, I'm not supposed to. Or we're not former. He's another Marine brother. Let me put it that way.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for your service as well.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. I have people. Almost every day. I just had one today, or from Teresa or whatever. Thank you for your service. And I say thank, and then I start saying you're welcome, and thank you for.
Grand Master Carlson, it's been an honor, sir, having you on, and I would just love to give you one of these, and thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, we do this, and then it just so when you do this or whatever, just roll into this. And the Kempo salutation is encircling the world is such a triangle of unity. Everybody is united with such peace. But should that peace be broken, I am ready to do battle if necessary, but I would rather have peace.
Thank you, sir. It's been fantastic having you on. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Ohio in a few weeks.
Yes.
Honoring you as the I would say the longest tenured martial artist, I would imagine, in the Warriors Legacy Hall of Fame.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think there is anybody older. There might be, but
it's very, very,
yeah. Well,
very cool.
I come back on the 21st. That Sunday is the 21st of June. Then it's downhill from there to December to my 90th birthday. I'll be 79 and a half or 89. I tried.
We'll have to throw a big party. Give me 1 second here.
Sure.